Hey everyone, Crash Bandipoop here, back after years of retirement to nerd out over The Last of Us stuff. And with The Last of Us Part 2's release, I've only been thinking about one thing, and that is, what the hell does this mean for Factions Part 2? We don't know when it will release, we don't know what form, we don't know really much anything about it, but we do know that eventually, hopefully, it will come out. But one thing I thought would be fun is to make some predictions as to what Factions 2 might look like. Now, I could be completely wrong about everything, but it'll still be fun to try. One thing we do know is that Naughty Dog builds their multiplayers based off of their single-player campaigns, and I think there'll be no exception here. The area I want to focus this video on is the gameplay and movement, and how the differences between Part 2 and Part 1 may translate to differences in the Factions sequel. The multiplayer in Part 1 was largely built off of Joel's movement, whereas in this one, I will make a pretty reasonable guess that it's probably going to be built off of Ellie's movement. In the first game, Joel was a lot more of a lumbering brute, whereas in Part 2, Ellie is more agile. She flows through the map. She has more options to be graceful. It feels like Naughty Dog has made an attempt to almost bridge the gap between the more grounded experience that you'll find in The Last of Us Part 1 with a little bit more of that acrobatic nature that you would find in Uncharted. And I think as a result of this, there's going to be a big impact on the gameplay in Factions. Ellie has some more movement options in her arsenal that I think will make things pretty spicy. First, there is this dodge mechanic. Oh, I can see the Frag Nation tryhards now, spamming dodge as they try to juke, perhaps adding a little jump in there to demonstrate how sweaty they really are. But really, I think this mechanic will facilitate more aggressive play. You can imagine risking being out in the open more often if you have this option to help you escape from incoming fire. And if they allow for things like melee dodging and even smoke bomb dodging, you can see where things will start to depart from the first game. Another thing they added is this prone mechanic. While not the safest position to fight from, this could allow for some interesting flanking opportunities, but may even add some interesting camping opportunities as well. Can you imagine if every van, car, or truck in Checkpoint could be crawled under? Cover height may also change as a result of this, requiring crawling to remain undetected over certain parts. One of my favorite things to do with this mechanic is sprint and then hold prone, performing this dive, which could be an interesting way to jump into cover when in a bind. Having a dedicated jump button may make things pretty interesting as well, allowing for another option in terms of juking. It would also be cool to have some more platforming options, and I imagine the maps will have a lot more verticality than they did in Factions Part 1. Being able to squeeze through gaps could also present some interesting flanking paths, allowing for some quick escapes, and it might even present some new sightlines. And so with all these various different movement changes, I think it's going to increase the speed of play, which you as a player may or may not like. I know many people don't want there to be any changes at all, but for those people I say the first faction still exists. Personally, I would welcome any of these changes to freshen up the gameplay, and I can't wait to see how the game actually is. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'm going to just leave you with one final clip, and enjoy.
Oh, God!